Hello everyone, welcome to EverlastCyber. In today's video we'll be tackling some relevant and challenging questions for the Certified Cloud Security Professional exam in order to get you prepared for whatever the exam throws your way. Now before we begin, the CCSP or Certified Cloud Security Professional exam is a globally recognized certification that is designed for IT professionals with cloud security expertise. This demonstrates your knowledge and skills in securing cloud environments as well as ensuring compliance with industry standards. The CCSP has 6 domains and I will list them. Domain 1 is Cloud Concepts Architecture and Design. Domain 2 is Cloud Data Security. Domain 3, Cloud Platform and Infrastructure Security. Domain 4 covers Cloud Application Security. Domain 5 covers Cloud Security Operations, while Domain 6 covers Legal, Risk and Compliance. So, without further ado, let's dive right into the questions. Question 1. What is the best source for information about securing a physical asset's BIOS? A. Security policies. B. Manual pages. C. Vendor documentation. D. Regulations. The answer here would be option C. The vendor documentation is the most authoritative and detailed source for information on securing a physical asset's BIOS. Remember, BIOS means the basic input-output system. Now this is because the vendor documentation has specific instructions as well as best practices. It also includes updates and patches as well as configuration details. For the other options that were initially listed for security policies, manual pages and regulations, while they are useful in certain contexts, they do not provide the same level of specific and practical information for securing the BIOS. So that's why we are going with option C, vendor documentation. Question 2. ABC Company, which utilizes cloud services extensively, recently expanded its cloud usage, involving multiple departments assessing various cloud resources. As a cloud security consultant for the company, you are tasked with enhancing the security of the cloud infrastructure. One of your primary goals is to secure the management plane to prevent unauthorized access and potential security breaches. Based on this scenario, why must you prioritize strict access control measures for the management plane in your cloud security strategy? Option A. To increase the complexity of the cloud environment, making it more challenging for potential hackers to navigate. Option B. To limit and control access to ensure that only authorized personnel can perform critical cloud infrastructure management functions. C. To facilitate a more democratic and decentralized management approach to allow departments equal control over cloud resources. D. To prioritize cost-saving measures by reducing the number of users with management access. The correct answer here would be option B. Remember, the question is based on this scenario, why must you prioritize strict access control measures for the management plane? This will be to limit the amount of control to only the authorized personnel. The management plane in a cloud environment is where the critical operations like configuration, managing and monitoring cloud resources take place. Now, ensuring that only authorized personnel have access to this plane is very important for various reasons, like for security of critical functions, for prevention of unauthorized changes, as well as for compliance and auditing. The other options that were initially mentioned, they are not aligned with best practices for securing the cloud infrastructure. So the answer here is option B. Question 3. Which of the following storage types is most closely associated with a traditional file system and tree structure? Option A. Volume. B. Unstructured. C. Objects. D. Structured. The answer here will be option A. A volume is a block-based storage type that is associated with a traditional file system and tree structure. Now, in a volume-based storage system, the data is organized into files and directories, and this forms a hierarchical tree structure. Each of the files is stored as a sequence of blocks on the storage medium, and the directories serve as containers for organizing and managing the files. The volume-based storage is used in the traditional computing environments where the files are accessed and managed using the file paths and directory structures. So that's why the answer is option A, volume. Question 4. Which of the following is not a component of Contractual PII? Option A, scope of processing. Option B, value of data. Option C, location of data. Option D, use of subcontractors. The answer here will be option B. When dealing with Contractual PII, the components that are usually included pertain to how the data is handled and protected. The value of data is important in other concepts. However, it is not a component of the contractual agreement concerning the PII. The Contractual PII focuses more on the protection, processing, and legal aspects rather than the economic value of the data. So that is why the value of data is not a component of the Contractual PII. Question 5. What does the management plane typically utilize to perform administrative functions on the hypervisors that it has access to? A. Scripts. B. RDP. C. APIs. D. XML. The answer here will be option C. The management plane in a virtualized environment, such as one using the hypervisor, interacts with the hypervisor's administrative functions through the APIs. The APIs allows the management plane to programmatically access and control various aspects of the hypervisor environments, like the provisioning virtual machines, configuring networking, and monitoring performance. Question 6. What is used for local physical access to hardware within a data center? Option A, SSH. Option B, KVM. Option C, VPN. Option D, RDP. The correct answer here will be option B. The KVM is known as keyboard video mouse. Now, in a server room, there will always be a KVM switch that will allow the users to access and control multiple computers or servers using a single set of keyboard, video monitor, and mouse. In a data center environment, the KVM switches are used to provide technicians or administrators with local access to the server hardware for tasks like troubleshooting, maintenance, or configuration. So that's why we are going with option B, KVM. Question 7. As a cloud security consultant tasked with enhancing resilience and availability of your organization's cloud-based services, your organization has faced challenges with service interruptions due to single points of failure in their current CSP's infrastructure. Based on this scenario, what is the best strategy to adopt to enhance high availability and mitigate the risk of service disruptions in your cloud infrastructure? Option A, prioritizing CSPs that offer redundant connectivity and multiple independent service providers to eliminate single points of failure. Option B, choosing CSPs based on the lowest cost to maximize budget efficiency and relying on external insurance for service outages. Option C, Implementing a strategy focused on a single, highly reputable CSP to streamline management and operations. Option D. Focusing on CSPs that offer the most advanced technology, irrespective of their redundancy and failover capabilities. The correct answer here will be option A. By prioritizing CSPs that offer redundant connectivity and multiple independent service providers, you can significantly reduce the risk of service disruptions that are caused by single points of failure. That's why the answer here would be option A. This strategy ensures that your cloud-based services have built-in redundancy and failover capabilities across multiple network paths and service providers. So in the event of a failure in one provider's infrastructure, traffic can be automatically rerouted to alternative paths or providers, thereby minimizing the downtime and ensuring high availability. Question 8. Which of the following represents a prioritization of applications or cloud customers for the allocation of additional requested resources when there is a limitation on available resources? Option A. Provision. B. Limit. C. Reservation. D. Share. The answer here will be option C, and I'll explain. In the context of cloud computing, a reservation refers to a commitment made by a cloud service provider to allocate specific resources like storage capacity, network bandwidth, or compute instances to a particular application or cloud customer. Now, this reservation is typically made in advance in order to ensure that the required resources will be available when it is needed. So when there is a limitation on available resources, the reservations allows cloud customers to prioritize their workload or application in order to ensure that critical applications or high priority customers are guaranteed access to the resources, and even during periods of resource scarcity or contention. One of the options there, share, it's similar to this. However, sharing refers to the distribution of resources among multiple users. While it may involve prioritization to some extent, it does not specifically refer to the process of prioritizing applications when there is a limitation. So that is why option C is the best answer for this question. Question 9. What is a serious complication an organization faces from the perspective of compliance with international operations? Option A. Different certifications. B. Multiple jurisdictions. C. Different capabilities. D. Different operational procedures. The answer here would be option B. When an organization is operating internationally, they must comply with the laws, regulation, and standard of multiple jurisdictions, and this can be complex and challenging to navigate. Now, each country or region may have its own set of laws or regulation that governs the various aspects of business operation, including data privacy, taxation, labor practices, and even security. Complying with multiple jurisdiction involves understanding the local regulations. The organization needs to stay updated on the law and regulation that is applicable to each jurisdiction where they operate or have customers. Organizations must also ensure that their business practices, products, and services comply with the legal requirements for each jurisdiction, and this may involve adapting procedures, policies, and operations accordingly. Finally, complying with multiple jurisdictions involves managing risks. A failure to comply with the laws and regulation of a particular jurisdiction can result in a legal liability, reputational damage, fines, or even a business disruption. Therefore, Managing compliance risk across multiple jurisdictions is very crucial for international operations. Question 10. Which United States law is focused on accounting and financial practices of organizations? Option A, Safe Harbor. B, GLBA. C, SOX. D, HIPAA. The answer here is option C. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act is an act that regulates accounting and financial practices used by organizations. It was passed to protect stakeholders and shareholders from improper practices and errors, and it sets the rules for compliance and is regulated and enforced by the SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission. The main influence on IT systems and operation is the requirement it sets for data retention, and it specifies what type of records must be preserved and for how long it can be preserved. Question 11. Which of the following storage types is most closely associated with a database type storage implementation? Option A, objects. Option B, unstructured. C, volume. D, structured. The answer here will be option D. A structured storage is designed for storing data in a structured format like databases. In a structured storage system, the data is organized and managed according to a predefined schema, which defines the data types, constraints, and relationship. The structured data is optimized for efficient data retrieval, processing, and querying, and this makes it well suited for applications that requires relational data storage and organization, such as SQL databases. So the structured storage type is most closely associated with a database type storage implementation. Question 12. Which type of audit reports does many cloud providers use to instill confidence in their policies, practices, and procedures to current and potential customers? Option A, SAS 70. Option B, SOC 1. Option C, SOC 2. Option D, SOX. The answer here will be option C. The SOC 2 or Service Organization Control is an audit report issued under the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant Standards. It focuses on a service organization's control that is relevant to security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Cloud providers often undergo the SOC 2 audits to demonstrate the effectiveness of their internal controls and security practices to stakeholders and customers. Now, this report gives assurance regarding the service provider's commitment to protecting customer data, maintaining high level of security, as well as adhering to industry best practices. Question 13. Which of the following concepts refers to a cloud customer paying only for the resources and offerings they use within a cloud environment and only for the duration that they are consuming them? Option A, consumable service. Option B, measurable service. C, billable service. D, metered service. Now, if we look at the options, option B and D somehow are similar. However, I'll just give a brief explanation. For option B, the measured service, it is similar in meaning to the metered service, but the metered service is a core principle of the cloud computing domain, where the users are charged based on their actual usage of cloud resources. This model ensures that the customers only pay for the services they consume, like the compute time, storage or data transfer, and for only the period that they use it. Now this allows for more efficient cost management and scalability. The measured service, on the other hand, is similar to the metered service. However, the metered service is more specific and is commonly used in the cloud computing environment to describe the pay-per-use model. Question 14. What document assesses the effectiveness and reliability of the cloud service provider's HVAC system? A. The CSP SOC 2 report detailing controls over security, availability, processing integrity, privacy, and confidentiality. B. The CSP ISO 27001 certification, focusing on overall information security management system. C. The CSP's SLA outlining performance and uptime guarantees. D. The CSA's business continuity and disaster recovery plan detailing responses to environmental disasters. Now, if we read the question again, it's asking the document that assesses the effectiveness and reliability of the CSP's HVAC system. That's why we are going with option A. The SOC report is designed to assess the controls that are relevant to security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy of a cloud provider's system. Now, when evaluating the CSP's SOC 2 report, it includes the comprehensive information on how the CSP manages and protects its infrastructure, including environmental controls like the HVAC system, that's the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. Now, the HVAC system is critical for maintaining the appropriate environmental conditions in data centers, and this ensures that the equipment can operate efficiently and reliably. So the SOC 2 report will typically cover the environmental controls and availability. The other options that were listed do not directly focus on the assessment of the HVAC systems. The ISO 27001 focuses on the information security management system. The SLA just outlines performance and uptime guarantees, and the business continuity and disaster recovery details the response to disasters and continuity planning, but it does not focus on the day-to-day effectiveness of the HVAC system. Question 15. Which of the following are the storage types associated with infrastructure as a service? Option A, volume and objects. B, volume and label. C, volume and container. D, objects and targets. The answer here is option A. In infrastructure as a service, the storage services are provided in form of volume storage and object storage. The volume storage is a block-based storage that appears to the user as a traditional hard drive. Now, it is used for storing data that requires frequent read-write operations like the application data and the operating system files. For object storage, it manages data as objects rather than as blocks or files. It is ideal for storing large amounts of unstructured data like videos, images, and documents, and it is accessed using APIs, which makes it highly scalable and durable. That's why we're going with option A. Question 16. Which of the following roles is responsible for creating cloud components and the testing and validation of services? Option A, cloud auditor. B, intercloud provider. C, cloud service broker. D, cloud service developer. The answer here is option D, and I will give a brief explanation. A cloud service developer focuses on designing, developing, and implementing cloud-based solutions, and their responsibilities include creating cloud components, testing and validation, as well as ensuring that the services and components they develop function correctly and meet the specified requirements. This can include writing and executing tests, debugging issues, and validating that the services perform as intended in the cloud environment. So the cloud service developer is responsible for creating the components and testing as well as validation of the services. Question 17. Which of the following statements accurately describes VLANs? A. They are not restricted to the same data center or the same racks. B. They are not restricted to the name rack but restricted to the same data center. C. They are restricted to the same racks and data centers. D. They are not restricted to the same rack but restricted to same switches. First of all, a VLAN is used to logically segment a single physical network into multiple separate networks, and this enables devices in different physical locations to be grouped together in the same logical network irrespective of their physical placements. So, taking a look at the options, the statement that will accurately describe a VLAN will be option A. The VLAN is not restricted to the same data center or the same racks. So, based on this, we can see that the VLANs, they allow devices in different parts of a network, even across different physical locations, to communicate with each other as if they were on the same physical network. So they are not restricted to the same data center or the same racks. Question 18. What is the only data format permitted with the SOAP API? Option A, HTML. Option B, SAML. Option C, XSML. Option D, XML. The correct answer here will be option D, XML. The Simple Object Access Protocol is used for exchanging structured information in the implementation of web services, and the messages are usually formatted in XML or Extensible Markup Language. The XML is the standard data format used for encoding the messages that are sent using the SOAP protocol. So that's why we're going with option D, XML. Question 19. Which technology can be useful during the share phase of the cloud data lifecycle to continue to protect data as it leaves the original system and security controls? A. IPS. B. WAF. C. DLP. D. IDS. The answer here is option C. The DLP or data loss prevention technology is designed to monitor, detect and prevent unauthorized data exfiltration or leakage. Now, during the share phase of the cloud data lifecycle, when data is shared with external parties, the DLP solutions can play a crucial role in ensuring that the sensitive data remains protected. DLP solutions inspect contents that are in motion, such as emails or file transfer, as well as content that are at rest, which like databases and stored files. Now, it inspects these data to identify sensitive information based on the predefined policies like social security numbers or credit card numbers. DLP solutions also enforces policies to prevent unauthorized sharing or transmission of sensitive data. It may involve blocking or encrypting the data based on the organization's security policies. It also involves monitoring and reporting The DLP solution also provides visibility into data usage and potential security incidents, which allows organizations to monitor and track data movement across the cloud environments. They usually do this by generating alerts or reports to help the organization to understand where sensitive data is being shared or accessed. Question 20. Which data formats are most commonly used with the REST API? Option A, JSON and SMAL. Option B, XML and SMAL. Option C, XML and JSON. Option D, SML and HTML. The REST or representational state transfer is an architectural style that is used for designing networked applications. It uses lightweight data formats for exchanging information between the client and the server. And the two most common formats it uses are the XML and the JSON. So the answer here is option C. The XML is a markup language that is both human readable and machine readable, and it's usually used for structured data exchange between systems, while the JSON or JavaScript object notation is a lightweight data interchange format that is also easy for humans to read and understand and easy for machines to parse and generate. This has become the standard for data interchange on the web due to its flexibility and simplicity. So these are the two common data formats that are used with the REST API, XML and JSON. Question 21. Which of the following threat types involves an application that does not validate authorization for portions of itself after the initial checks? A. Injection. B. Missing function level access control. C. Cross-site request forgery. D. Cross-site scripting. The answer here is option B. The missing function level access control is a vulnerability or weakness where an application does not properly enforce the restrictions on what the authenticated users are allowed to do. Now, once a user has been authenticated and authorized for certain functions, the application fails to validate authorization for subsequent requests. Now, without continual checks each time a function is accessed, a hacker could forge any request to access portions of the application where the authorization has not been granted. This weakness or vulnerability can allow authenticated users to access or perform certain functions that they should not be able to, and this can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive data or functionality. Question 22. Which networking concept in a cloud environment allows for network segregation and isolation of IP spaces? Option A, PLAN. D, WAN. C, LAN. D, VLAN. The answer here is option D. The VLAN is a technology that is used to segment a physical network into multiple isolated network, and each VLAN can operate as if it is its own network, even though the devices on separate VLANs may physically share the same network infrastructure. Question 23. Which of the following roles involves overseeing billing, purchasing, and requesting audit reports for an organization within a cloud environment? A. Cloud service user. B. Cloud service business manager. C. Cloud service administrator. D. Cloud service integrator. The answer here is option B. The cloud service business manager has the responsibility related to all financial and managerial aspects of the cloud services within an organization. These responsibilities include overseeing billing, purchasing, as well as requesting audit reports. So our answer here is option B. Question 24. What is the biggest concern with hosting a key management system outside of the cloud environment? Option A, confidentiality. B, portability. C, availability. D, integrity. Now, when a key management system is hosted outside of the cloud environment, there is a higher risk of confidential information being intercepted by unauthorized parties. This is because the keys that are used to encrypt and decrypt the sensitive data are managed externally, that is outside of the cloud environment, and this can pose security threats during the transmission or storage. If we look at the options, portability refers to the ease of moving systems between environments. Availability concerns the uptime and accessibility of systems and services, while integrity ensures that the data remains unchanged. So for this particular question, we are going to be going with option A, confidentiality. When a key management system is being hosted outside of the cloud environment, there's a risk of it getting into unauthorized hands, or a risk of unauthorized users gaining access to that key, which could pose a risk to the information contained in it. So that's why we're going with option A. Question 25. Why does a type 1 hypervisor typically offer tight security controls than a type 2 hypervisor? Option A. Type 1 hypervisor also controls patching of its hosted virtual machine, ensuring that they are always secure. B. Type 1 hypervisor performs hardware level encryption for tighter security and efficiency. C. Type 1 hypervisor only hosts virtual machines with the same operating system as the hypervisor. D. Type 1 hypervisor is tied directly to the bare metal and only runs with code necessary to perform its specific mission. The answer here will be option D. The type 1 hypervisor is also known as a bare metal hypervisor, and it runs directly on the physical hardware of the host system without needing an operating system. It interacts directly with the hardware in order to manage and allocate resources to the virtual machines connected to it. So this makes it have a minimum attack surface, and it is usually isolated because it has the direct hardware access to hardware resources. So we're going with option D. Question 26. Which of the following approaches would not be considered sufficient to meet the requirements of secure data destruction within a cloud environment? A. Cryptographic erasure. B. Zeroing. C. Overwriting. D. Deletion. The correct answer here will be option D. Reading the question again, it says which of the following approaches would not be considered sufficient. Now, if you delete data using some special software, you can be able to retrieve that data or recover it. However, with cryptographic erasure, zeroing and overwriting, it will be very difficult for you to retrieve that data. So in this case, deletion is not sufficient to meet the requirements for secure data destruction within a cloud environment. When the data is deleted, it still remains on the underlying storage medium until it is overwritten by new data. So this poses a risk to data privacy because the deleted data may still be recovered using special tools or techniques. Question 27. Which of the following pertains to a macro level approach to data center design rather than the traditional tiered approach to data centers? A. IDCA, B. NFPA, C. BICSI, D. Uptime Institute. The answer here is option A. The IDCA, or International Data Center Authority, promotes a holistic and macro-level approach to data center design and operations. Unlike the traditional tiered approach, which focuses on reliability and availability level, the IDCA emphasizes factors such as efficiency, sustainability, scalability, and total cost of ownership in data center design. Now, this approach considers the various aspects of data center design, like the architecture, the mechanical systems, networking, electrical systems, security, as well as the environmental factors. Its main aim is to optimize the data center performance and resource utilization while ensuring that it minimizes the environmental impact and operating costs. So the IDCA pertains to the macro level approach to a data center design. Question 28. Which of the following are the storage types associated with platform as a service? A. Structured and freeform. B. Volume and objects. C. Structured and unstructured. D. Database and file system. The answer here is option D. The platform as a service offers database file system, and this includes managed database services that allows the developers to store their structured data in databases like the SQL database. This database also provides structured storage for organized data storage and retrieval. It also is associated with file system. The platform as a service provides file storage services that allows developers to store and manage their files and unstructured data. This includes features like file storage, file sharing, and file access through APIs. The other options listed do not represent the storage types associated with platform as a service. For volume and objects, that is more associated with infrastructure as a service. So the correct answer here is option D. Question 29. Which of the following cloud aspects complicates e-discovery? A. Resource pooling. B. On-demand self-service. C. Multi-tenancy. D. Measured service. The answer here is option C. Multi-tenancy in cloud computing is the sharing of computing resources and infrastructure among multiple users, or we can call them tenants. Each of the tenants' data and application are logically segregated, but they usually often share the same physical resource like the server, storage, and network infrastructure. Multi-tenancy can complicate e-discovery for several reasons, like data intermingling, data segregation, as well as data privacy, because the computing resources are shared among multiple users, so it complicates a lot of things. Question 30. Which United States law is focused on data related to health records and privacy? Option A. HIPAA. Option B. Safe Harbor. C. SOX. D. GLBA. The answer here is option A. HIPAA was enacted in 1996 as a federal law that establishes national standards for the protection of sensitive patient information, or protected health information, PHI. The law includes provisions on how to safeguard the privacy and security of PHI, regulate its use and disclosure, and it also ensures individuals' rights to access and control their health information. Question 31. Which of the following publishes the most commonly used standard for data center design in regard to tiers and topologies? Option A, IDCA, B, Uptime Institute, C, NFPA, D, BICSI. The answer here is option B. The Uptime Institute is recognized for its tiered classification system known as Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. This classification system provides a framework that is used for evaluating and benchmarking data center designs, constructions, and operational excellence based on the level of availability and redundancy. The Uptime Institute's tier standard is the most commonly used standard in data center design in regards to topologies and tiers, and it defines the requirements and criteria for each tier level, including the fault tolerance, availability, and resiliency. Many organizations usually refer to the Uptime Institute's tier standards when designing, building, and certifying their data centers in order to ensure that they meet the specific reliability and performance objectives. Question 32. What is the biggest benefit to leasing space in a data center versus building or maintaining your own? A, certification, B, costs, C, regulation, D, control. The answer here is option B. When you lease a space in a data center, it helps to minimize costs. So leasing the space, an organization can avoid the large amounts that is needed to start up, or the large amounts that will be associated with the building costs. Instead, they can leverage on the economies of scale by grouping with other organizations and sharing costs. Question 33. Which of the following standards primarily pertains to cabling designs and setups in a data center? Option A, IDCA, B, NFPA, C, BICSI, D, Uptime Institute. The answer here is option C. The BICSI, or Building Industry Consulting Service International, is an organization that develops standards and provides the training and certification for ICT infrastructure design, including cabling systems. It also covers various aspects of cabling design, installation, and maintenance, as well as the cabling systems, pathways, spaces, and telecommunications distribution infrastructure. This BISCI standard is widely recognized in the industry, and it is used by professionals that are involved in data center design to ensure the effective planning, implementation, and management of cabling systems within data centers. Question 34. What type of segregation and separation of resources is needed within a cloud environment for multi-tenancy purposes versus a traditional data center model? A, virtual, B, security, C, physical, D, logical. The answer here is option D. In a cloud environment, especially in a multi-tenant architecture where there are multiple users and they share the same underlying infrastructure, separation of resources and logical segregation are crucial to ensure data privacy and to avoid data intermingling between them. It is needed for data isolation, resource allocation, security controls, as well as scalability. Question 35. Which United States program was designed to enable organizations to bridge the gap between privacy laws and requirements of the United States and the European Union? Option A, GLBA. B, HIPAA. C, Safe Harbor. D, SOX. The answer here is option C. Due to the lack of an adequate privacy law at the federal level in the United States, European privacy regulations generally prohibit the exporting or sharing of PII from Europe within the United States. So participation in the Safe Harbor program is voluntary on behalf of an organization. It does, however, require them to conform to the specific requirements and policy that mirrors those from the European Union. So organizations can fulfill requirements for data sharing and possibly serve customers in the European Union. This brings us to the end of the video for the CCSP practice questions and answers. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell in order to watch new videos when they drop. If you found this video useful and helpful to you during your preparation, please like, share, and leave a comment in the comment section. See you in the next video. Thank you.